Yo, what's going on, y'all? It's Cone back here again today with another episode of After the Buzzer, the show where I recap the NBA games from the night. And we just saw Game 5 of the Western Conference Finals with the series wrapping up. The Mavericks complete the gentleman's sweep of the Timberwolves in 5 games, winning in Minnesota to advance their first NBA Finals in 13 years. And they did so in dominant fashion. Game 4, the Wolves went ahead and got a win. I didn't have time to make a recap on that, but the Wolves found a way to go ahead and battle back. And there were some whispers from people saying all they have to do is take one here, make it kind of interesting. Maybe they could find their way towards a comeback, or at least come up a little less short than if they got swept or lost in 5 games. I think after the Celtics nearly found a way to win that series last year against Miami, a lot of people were hopeful that we might see something similar this year, but at least up until now, hasn't happened, and it certainly wasn't going to happen tonight because the Mavericks annihilated the Minnesota Timberwolves. They won by 21 points, 124 to 103, which, by the way, 124 against Minnesota is extremely impressive. That is a great Timberwolves defense, one of the best defenses we've seen in a while, but the Mavericks just refused to be stopped, and a lot of that was Luka Doncic, who has been their best player this entire run, and he and Kyrie Irving have found such a great synergy as a backcourt. Both of them dropping 36 points in this game. Luka going out there and winning Western Conference Finals MVP, unsurprisingly, finished with 10 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, as well as 6 threes. He was the main reason this game got out of hand pretty quickly for them to eventually build up that 36-point lead they had at one point, because he had 20 points in the first quarter alone. It was logo threes. He was dribbling around high screens and getting looks and just pulling up from wherever, battling through contact, finishing at the rim, and ones. You name the type of shot, Luka probably hit it in this game. He is one of the single most unstoppable offensive players I've ever seen. There are very few guys who can get into a zone like Luka can, where if you don't block the shot, it's going to go down. It doesn't matter if he's off balance, if his rhythm's thrown out of whack, if you hit him in the act, you could like shove him to the ground and he's still going to find a way to put the ball in the basket. And even if he doesn't have a great lane, he's going to play make to somebody else, whether that's Gafford or Lively catching a lob. He and Kyrie Irving, Luka that is, have really built this like Lob City 2.0 feel here in Dallas. I swear, I can't remember a time that a team got so many lobs throughout a playoff run. Both Gafford and Lively finished 3 of 3 from the floor. They were both incredible. Huge shout to Kyrie Irving as well. 4 threes from him too. 5 assists, 4 rebounds. You got good play from Derrick Jones Jr. and PJ Washington. It was an all-around team effort, like it has been for the Mavericks this entire run. They have found a way, shout to Nico Harrison and the rest of that front office, to put together this ridiculously talented squad over here in Dallas. One that a lot of people doubted. I mean, I'll say it. I picked the Thunder to beat them in the second round. I picked the Timberwolves to go ahead and beat them here in the conference finals. Both those series I had going 7, but I didn't pick the Mavericks to go ahead and win either of those matchups. I did pick them against the Clippers, so I guess there's one win, but they've proved me wrong up until this point. And I know there are a lot of people out there who thought that Kyrie and Luka couldn't coexist as a backcourt. You couldn't build a competent defense around them. There was only one ball for them to share, and how would that work? The answer is it's going to work perfectly fine, and they're going to find their way through an extremely tough Western Conference to the NBA Finals. In addition to the Kyrie move, which was the big one, they also had a great deadline with Gafford and PJ. They brought in Derrick Jones Jr. on a very low-level contract for the level of play he's given them all season, grabbing Dereck Lively last year in the draft, tanking the games to fall out of the play-in tournament so that they could go ahead and have the chance to get Dereck Lively. They've done everything right over the past calendar year. It's put them in this position they're in, where they, again, won a really, really tough Western Conference. We talked all year about how stacked the West was, and it's the Dallas Mavericks sitting out there on top, and now having to go up against the Boston Celtics, which is going to be a very fun matchup. I don't want to get too deep into the matchup here because I plan on making a full series preview video, probably going to come out on Monday, maybe Sunday, one of those 2 days, because we've got like a week until the series actually begins. But this is going to be an incredible matchup. First of all, the amount of storylines that there are going into this one, whether it's, Kristaps Porzingis playing against his former team and his former partner in Luka Doncic, with there being some rumors that they might have had a little bit of animosity throughout their time. We don't know how true that is, but there were some reports. You've also got Kyrie Irving going up against Boston, and not only is that his former team, it's a team and a city that really does not like him. They've got a lot of history, whether it was him saying that he was going to re-sign with the Celtics before the season when he was in Boston, and then, of course, walking at the end of the year and pretty clearly being out partway through the season. With the Nets, they had a couple of playoff matchups. There was that one moment where he stomped on the Celtics logo in the middle. He was flicking off fans. There's been a lot of altercations between the two sides. It's going to be an extremely hostile environment for Kyrie Irving to go into, and he's got a chance to go go out there and have this big revenge series against Boston and build up his legacy as well. This would make 2 rings for Kyrie Irving if he can get the job done, and that could start to move him up some all-time point guard conversations. And it's not just his legacy that is in play here in this series. It's a lot of guys on both sides, but specifically Jayson Tatum and Luka Doncic. Both of them are top 10 players, young, rising stars that have the chance to grab their first ring, and probably whichever team wins, one of those 2 guys will probably go ahead and grab Finals MVP, which would be a massive boost for Luka. He's probably already at a Hall of Fame level with all the All-NBA first teams he has and the stuff that he's done overseas, but grabbing a ring, when we start to talk about the best players in NBA history, if he can grab one now pretty early on in his career, which leaves him plenty of time to grab more, this could be the beginning of Luka Doncic starting to enter those really upper echelon all-time conversations. And for Jayson Tatum, he's a player that a lot of people doubt consistently, thinking that he can't be the best player in a championship team, that he's not actually that good. Grabbing a ring and a Finals MVP here could be big for him, building up his own Hall of Fame case, which he is already doing more than people I think realize with the All-NBA selections he has, the All-Star appearances at a relatively young age, the numbers he's put up. But a ring would definitely go a long way towards that conversation too. So both them being some of the brightest young stars in the league, they've got a chance to go ahead and make their own individual legacies extend beyond what anybody thinks of them at the moment. And then just from a basketball perspective, this is a dream matchup. Both teams are great on both sides of the ball, have incredible talent, and there's a lot of interesting cross matching. Like for the Mavericks, they've got this all-time offensive backcourt, while the Celtics have this all-time defensive backcourt. You've got Derrick White and Jrue Holiday going up against Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. Can they slow them down? Will you see some matchups with like Tatum or Jaylen Brown and Luka potentially too, just to put a little bit more size on him? I wouldn't be surprised if we see that. You've also got on the other side one of the best wing duos we have in the league, probably the best, with Jaylen Brown and Jayson Tatum going up against this great defensive wing duo of PJ Washington and Derrick Jones Jr., who have held their own, but this is easily the biggest challenge that they face yet. Can they hold up? And then is Kristaps Porzingis going to be back? And when he comes back, how is he going to look? Because he adds a whole new dynamic to the series as well, into the Celtics team, with his shot blocking, his floor spacing, his ability to play out of the post, just elevates this team on both ends. And if he is back and playing at a high level, can Dereck Lively and Daniel Gafford, who have been so good, find a way to slow him down? He is a big challenge at that center position, especially playing off of all the talent they have. Will the depth matter? Because both these teams have some interesting pieces off the bench, but there are some question marks. It's going to be really interesting. 2 coaches too, in Joe Mazzulla and Jason Kidd, both of whom have been doubted by a lot of people, called bad coaches, said that they were overrated, that they don't really do that much. They've now both got a chance to show their coaching strategies off here in a final series that feels like it could be a real lengthy series that could turn into a chess match. I know we've seen some disappointing series throughout the playoffs so far, but I think this one is going to be incredible. I cannot wait to see how it goes and who ends up coming out on top. Like I said, the finals don't start for a week, so there will be some other videos in the meantime leading up to that. And of course, once we get there, there will be the usual game recaps, as well as a series preview video coming in not too long. Real quick, before we go ahead and wrap this video up, I do want to give a shout out to the Minnesota Timberwolves. They were not expected by many people to be here in this position, and they found their way here anyways. Anthony Edwards leading this team to a spot they haven't been in 20 years as a 22-year-old. Extremely impressive, and he refused to go out without a fight. He did end up putting up 28 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists. He brought this game back to, I think it was like 23 or 21 points at one point, but just wasn't enough. Played 43 minutes, fought on the defensive end, and had an incredible season. I have no doubt in my mind that he's going to continue to be one of the brightest stars in the league, and they're going to need him to continue to play at this level and even better if they want to get back to this point, which is the question. Can they get back to this spot? Because it's not guaranteed. They are in a really tough spot financially with the money for him and Karl-Anthony Towns and Gobert and Jay McDaniels, as well as, you know, clearly having to make some improvements to this team. How do they go ahead and get it all done? I'm really curious to see what they do in the offseason. Is it trading Cat, who was pretty disappointing in this series, did finish this game with 28 and 12 and had a pretty good game 4 as well to extend the series at least one more night. But overall, do they move off of him to try and bolster the roster more so, with him continuing to be someone that doesn't really play well in the playoffs, at least so far throughout his career? Could they move off of Jaden McDaniels? I don't imagine they trade Rudy Gobert because he just won DPOY. There are a lot of question marks over here in Minnesota. I'm excited to see what they do this summer, and I think they're in one of the most interesting spots in the NBA. But definitely want to give them their flowers. Again, not a lot of people thought they would make it this far. People thought the whole Cat Gobert thing was a complete failure. It got them pretty far here in the playoffs. They just ran into a team that was red hot, and one of the best players in the world in Luka Doncic. I mean, they were close in most of these games, just couldn't get over the hump. We'll see what they do, but for now, those are my overall thoughts on this Western Conference Finals and a quick preview for the finals. I'm extremely excited. I cannot wait. I think it's going to be, again, an amazing series. Let me know down below in the comments, who do you have winning this series and how many games? Just your initial impressions, because there is a lot of time up until until it, so I'm sure you might change your mind. But just right off the bat, what are your thoughts on that finals matchup? What things are you most excited for? What narratives are most interesting to you? And yeah, I appreciate you watching. Leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos. I will see you all later. Real one, stay back.